Hi again then guys, and welcome to another speed setup for Forza Horizon 3, and this time we're tuning one of my personal favourite cars in the game. It may actually be my favourite truck in real life. There are some others which I love as well, but I think this one might take the cake for me. The Lamborghini LM002. Lamborghini's answer to the Hummer. For those who don't know, of course, Lamborghini and Hummer were rivals for the, I believe it was the government military contract of providing them with vehicles. Hummer, of course, won that. Lamborghini didn't do so well with the LM, but it's kind of a more exotic version of that whole militarized truck ethos. And, of course, it's quicker than a Hummer, but funnily enough, by today's standards, despite having a Countach engine to begin with, it's not really that quick. In real life, the LM002 can do about 130-ish miles per hour. 0 to 60 is around 8 seconds, so it's not that quick by today's standards. However, if you take that car and then fit it with a 6.5 litre 1500 horsepower V12, well, things start to get better. And as you can see, it's still a heavy car, 2.1 tonnes, but that's a lot lighter than it was. I would recommend retaining all-wheel drive. That's a pretty obvious thing to have. Aspiration, I would recommend the twin turbo. And as far as the rest, it's pretty obvious what you need to do. Lower the weight, improve the tyres, improve the power, all that kind of good stuff. As you can see, we are running a roll cage, and you don't necessarily have to have that. This is one of those cars where there are good things and bad things. Of course, it does increase the weight on what is already a heavy car, so as I said, it's down to you as to whether you fit that or not. Now, if you want this tune as is straight on your car, you can, of course, find it on my storefront. Just use the keywords down below in the video description to find that quickly and easily. But if you'd rather do it yourself, which is fair enough, then, of course, this is the video for you. Now, funnily enough, this car now hits 100 miles per hour in the game quicker than the real car hits 60 in real life. A lot quicker. So, pretty massive performance difference. 3.5 to 60 is pretty good for a 2.1 tonne truck. 7.6 to 100 is pretty good, not amazing, but it's pretty good. And the top end performance of just under 222 is certainly good enough for most situations. It's far from being the quickest truck or SUV in the game, but it's not slow, that's for sure. Now, as far as the gearbox, I would recommend a final drive of 4.4, then individual gears of 2.9, 2, 1.5, 1.15, 0.95 and 0.82. And as far as alignment, I've got neutral, camber and toe. I've opted for 4 degrees of caster. You could go higher if you want it to be a bit stiffer, or take it lower for vice versa. I've opted for midway, best of both worlds kind of thing. For anti-roll, I've gone on 24 and 30, springs on 53, 65, and I've opted for the highest ride height. You don't have to do that, but I've done that mostly for the looks. This is one of those cars which I personally feel looks a lot better with really jacked up suspension. But maybe that's just me. As far as dampers, we've got those on 2.5 all round. Aero, of course, doesn't apply. And as far as the diff, I've opted for 100% on acceleration, 0 on decel, and for this particular car, a 70% split in favour of the back. So it's not too rear-end centric. You've still got 30% going to the front, which helps out off-road, helps out off the line, but you've got options. Of course, there's plenty of things that you can change around for personal preference or to tailor it to you. So all that remains, of course, is to take it out on the street to see what it can do. Now, as I mentioned, this car is not the quickest of trucks or SUVs, but there are certain vehicles, and I've mentioned this before with other cars, it's not about that. It's about more than just being the best. There are certain cars which are just nice cars to drive, and I know that's purely down to personal preference. For me, a perfect example of that is the Maserati MC12. It's not the best supercar in the game, but it's my favourite supercar in the game because I just love the car. Likewise with this one. It's not the quickest of SUVs or trucks, but it's just such a nice car, or at least in my opinion, as I said. I've personally always loved this car even more than the Hummer. That being said, the Hummer H1 is still my highest mileage car in the game. I've done like 40,000 miles in that thing, but I've done a lot of miles in the LM002 as well. I absolutely love this car, and if you haven't tried it out, I would recommend doing so. But that's it overall for this particular tune, and you can find plenty more like this on the channel. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.